That's not a secret I'll never tell. You know you love me. XOXO. Gossip Girl.
Hello, my name is Andy, sometimes Mouse. I talk about books and book-related things, and today I am going to be talking to you about my childhood reread of Gossip Girl. I have given myself a Gossip Girl outfit here today. I don't even know where to start with this. I want to preface this entire thing with Gossip Girl is messy and dramatic and too much, and I loved almost every single second of reading it. These books are snack size, but they also came out in the early 2000s, so do not expect them to be socially correct. Don't expect them to use terms that are acceptable, and, you know, don't be surprised when they use terms that are not acceptable. They slut-shame each other, there is definitely some light homophobia, and there's just some varying terminology that definitely shouldn't be used, but definitely was used. But again, this was the early 2000s, and I think Gossip Girl was so popular because it was this kind of ridiculous, unacceptable language, and we hadn't really seen that level of ridiculous writing, I think, at that point. So I reread Gossip Girl for November's Clear Your Shit. It was something that had been on my TBR for a really long time. No, I didn't own any of these books, but I had been planning on reading it for a while, so I finally did. And there are between 12 and 14 books, I'm not sure, and one of the books is a prequel, which is not worth your time, effort, money, any of it. The prequel was just like things that they had pretty much already explained to you that had happened. So yeah, I want to also, while I'm talking about this, I'm going to probably draw some comparisons between Gossip Girl, the books, and Gossip Girl, the TV show, because there are some jarring differences between the two shows in the way that the characters are talked about, and which characters have like a lot of plot and which ones don't, and so on and so forth. I was someone who loved the TV show, but I watched it much later than when I read the books. I read the books in middle school to high school, and then I watched the show end of high school, beginning of my post-high school education. So I was not someone who grew up in a wealthy area. I don't have any comparison to, is this really how the elite live? I don't know, because I was definitely not a part of that lifestyle at any point in my life. I think that was also some of the appeal to me as a younger person. I really liked the idea of being the upper elite. I mean, I think everybody at some point fantasizes about having that kind of money to spend. I would like to be able to have money to blow on a expensive wedding dress in Paris just for the fun of it, or in the UK just for the fun of it, like Blair does at some point. I think it was a $60,000 dress. My wedding budget wasn't even $60,000. These books, like I said, messy, horrible, but great if you love drama. If you like watching like Real Housewives, that kind of trash TV, maybe even Wife Swap, then you would probably like Gossip Girl. Gossip Girl follows the lives of the upper elite, and it starts with them in their junior year of high school and then to their freshman year of college, and then the last book is after they have graduated college, or at least their first 4 years of college. It primarily follows Blair, Serena, Nate, Dan, Vanessa, and Jenny for a little while. That is who we primarily focus on. There are some other characters that come in and out. One of the big differences I feel like between the show and the books is that Chuck Bass is not really a big focus until later on in the books, whereas in the show he had a much bigger focus. He is a creep in the first book of Gossip Girl, just like he is a creep in the first episode of Gossip Girl towards Jenny. That doesn't change. He is kind of just an asshole and a creep the whole time. However, it gets dismissed a lot, and I didn't love that. I really wish that Chuck Bass had either been a different character or not included at all. Jenny in the book, Jenny was my favorite in the books, Jenny was my favorite in the show. Jenny was portrayed by Taylor Momsen in the show, and I had a massive crush on her. I really liked Jenny as a character. I think that she had the grounds to be an amazing character, and I know that that's why she got her own spin-off, the It Girl series, but I was so livid when they took Jenny out of the show, or out of the books, and even in the show. I was mad when they took her out of the book, out of the show too, but in the books they took her out and sent her to boarding school to do the It Girl series, and I was annoyed because of that family. Dan is the fucking worst. He is the pick-me equivalent of a poet, and I couldn't stand him. He was so obnoxious to read about, and I, at one point, was skipping the chapters that he was the primary focus in because I couldn't stand him. Everything about him was annoying to me. Speaking of Dan specifically, the way that they handled his I might be gay, I don't know thing, I think that was done really badly because, you know, early 2000s bisexuality wasn't new, but I know that when it comes to bisexuality with regards to men, it is a lot of the time dismissed as you have to pick a side, and Dan very much does feel this. So he kisses a guy at a reading, and a poetry reading or something, and he gets very kind of confused about what his sexuality is, and then everyone makes it a bigger deal than it is and gives him even a coming out party, even though he hasn't really figured out his sexuality and he hasn't really even come out yet. They do all of these things, and then he's just even more confused, and it's just a whole ordeal, and it's not fun for him. And I didn't like that storyline at all. I found the storyline very frustrating, and I, again, wish they had just gotten rid of Dan and kept Jenny instead. It would have made the books a lot better in my opinion, and a lot of the time when I did not rate these books 4 stars, it was because of Dan or behavior around Dan. He is literally a creep. He is the pick-me version of Chuck Bass. He's not any better. He intentionally cheated on his girlfriend. He made sex out to be this weird thing to write about. He slut-shamed all of the women in his life at one point. And again, this whole situation with being gay or not gay, even the way that he personally handled it was not done well. I found him very frustrating. The only character that was consistently likable, although he still had his faults, which I will get to, was definitely Nate Archibald. I did not expect myself to feel that way about Nate Archibald, and then I did. While yeah, he's done some fucked up, like, he fucked up when it came to the Blair and Serena situation. You have 2 hot best friends, it happens. Life's hard. Also, when you're that young, it's very hard to make those kinds of decisions, but he did develop into a more interesting character. I also thought it was kind of funny that his biggest, like, character flaw was 1, being indecisive, and 2, being a stoner, because at the time that was a character flaw, and now the way we view people who smoke is quite different. And so looking at it now, it's kind of hilarious to me that they're like, oh, he's got to go to rehab for smoking, and he's got to do this and this for smoking, when I think that while there are still some parts of society that do feel that way, most of society doesn't. I, found that kind of amusing. Nate also, though, does go after Jenny, and Jenny in the books is 14-ish. She is a freshman, and he's a junior senior, and I know that those relationship dynamics exist. However, after he's already graduated from high school, he does end up getting back with Jenny for a little while and dating, and again, a senior in high school and a college student together, not that weird. Even a junior in high school and a college student together, not my favorite, but I don't feel it's that unusual. Did not like the way that he treated Jenny in those instances, and I felt like he was just clinging to his youth in a really weird way, and I didn't love that. Blair is a bitch, and I fucking love her for it. I love everything about that. She's insane, like actually insane. She needed actual therapy and actual help and didn't get it, and really should have, but she is determined, and I have to respect her for that. I do. Serena is not an interesting character. She wasn't an interesting character in the show. She wasn't an interesting character in the books. She is predominantly just the hot girl that causes everybody's life to fall apart because she has no self-awareness, and she's actually just generally unaware of the way that she affects other people. That's it. That's Serena. She's not an in-depth character. She's not that interesting. She takes everything from Blair, and it's not malicious 90% of the time, but she just does it by accident and then doesn't think that she's done anything wrong, which continued to happen throughout all of the books. And Blair doesn't talk about her feelings, instead she seeks revenge, and that friendship, 1, very toxic, and 2, Serena just, the lack of self-awareness made her a bad friend to Blair. I think that Blair gets framed as the villain a lot of the time because she was aggressive, whereas Serena was passive to the point where it harmed her friendships, and I think that that makes her just as bad of a friend as Blair. I do wonder how these books would come across now, what we would do should we make these books again, how would we write them, how would we talk about them, so on. I think that, you know, Anna K. Away, which I talked about in a vlog a while back, I think that that reads a lot like the Gossip Girl books in that there's all of these moving pieces and all of these different perspectives and all of this drama and gossip and rumors and so on and so forth. And I know that that's an Anna Karina retelling, but I think that that is a really good example of Gossip Girl in the modern age. I didn't enjoy the Anna K. Away though, so I don't really know, you know, is that a fair example or not since I enjoyed Gossip Girl so much. I think why I enjoyed Gossip Girl though was because they're short, they're unapologetically mean, badly written, like unapologetically though. They own how messy they are, and I found that just incredibly enjoyable. So, you know, when it comes to my childhood rereads, is this something that I want to like go out and purchase and own all of them? No. No, it's not. Is it something that I would recommend to young readers? Also no, it's not. Is it something that I would recommend to reread if you read them as a teenager and read now as an adult? Yeah, 100%, definitely, because I just found it so entertaining, and the contrast between the writing in those books versus the writing that we have now is just so different and so enjoyable. And, you know, I could give you different plot points from the entire books, but again, there are so many of them, so even summarizing what these books are about is not going to do justice to how many books there are. I found it fun though. I enjoyed pretty much the whole time that I was getting to read it. Even the Dan parts that made me want to die, while I wasn't enjoying those parts, I was still enjoying the way that Gossip Girl narrates the story, because that's the other thing, is that we have this unknown narrator that is Gossip Girl. We never find out who Gossip Girl is, and that was something that was kind of strange to me in the show, was for Dan to be Gossip Girl. That didn't make any sense. It actually makes the most sense for Blair to be Gossip Girl because she knows everything about everyone. She even signs off a letter in the books to Nate with, "You know you love me," and everything about it just really lines up with the way that Blair would play games with other people and that kind of thing. So I just really think that making Dan the Gossip Girl in the show was ridiculous. I do think not telling us who Gossip Girl was and not making that a focus in the books at all was kind of lame. I think that we could have had a really fun like twist if Cicely had done that, but you know, we got what we got. There was this hyper focus, and this happened more in the books and not the show, and you'll hear why in just a second. There was a hyper focus on Jenny's breast size, like an obscene focus on it, and it I think is why Nate went after her when Nate did, although she went after Nate primarily, but I think that's why Nate found it acceptable to be dating her, because in the books Jenny has very large chest and it's a huge thing, and she has to figure out, because she wants to be a model and she wants to do fashion, and she has to figure out all of these things and not get put in a position of being sexualized with modeling and that kind of thing. And she does get put in that position, and that's not a storyline in the show because Taylor Momsen is a teeny tiny little thing. I don't know how I feel one way or the other about should we have had that or should we not, but that is also something that was really different between the two shows. And I also think that the show grew bigger than the books, and so it was able to complete in the way that it did. The crazy girl from Serena's boarding school that was somebody's cousin, I don't remember her name, she's in like 2 of the books. She does not have as much of a focus as she does in the Gossip Girl show. Like I said, I don't know if I recommend this to anybody, but if you read them before and you remember enjoying them, you might enjoy the trash TV or the trash TV-esque-ness of the books, but I will also fair warn that you have to kind of set aside the expectations of correct language and accessible and diverse language. You have to set those expectations aside and remember when this book was published. So that was my childhood reread. Next month I will be reading Pretty Little Liars, which I expect to feel about the same way about with Gossip Girl. I did read Pretty Little Liars growing up. I did not ever watch the show, so we'll see. I think the covers were really cool at the time, so that's it. though. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you didn't, let me know in the comments down below how I can do better. Also, if you've read these books or you're thinking about reading them now that I've talked about them, let me know in the comments down below. I'd be really interested to hear what your thoughts on Gossip Girl are, just because it is something that I enjoyed rereading so much. I will see you guys again on Thursday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time and Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time every single week. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share. Drink your water, take your meds, and do something today to take care of yourselves, okay? Bye.